Me, a leader. Yes, equip yourself and others to be leaders. I'm Brianne Salker, the Group and Leader Development Committee Chairman for this biennium. Today we will be talking about leadership styles, types, and traits, as well as encouraging others in leadership. The information for this presentation came from 3 different LWML resources, which are listed on the handout you will receive later in this presentation. So we're going to start with this question. What is a leader? How would you define the word leader? And I do need some audience participation here. A couple different ways that we would define leader.
Someone who goes ahead of everyone else to kind of show the way.
Okay, goes ahead of everyone to show the way. To support. Okay. Organize.
To guide a team.
To guide a team.
Someone who shows by example.
Okay, someone who shows by example. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines leader as one who guides on a way or is positioned at the front. So now we're going to consider this question. How are Christian servants and Christian leaders similar? I'm going to give you 3 minutes to discuss this in groups of 3 or 4, so like your rows, or kind of make a little pod if there's a few of you not kind of together. And discuss this for 3 minutes. Ready? Go. As we talk about Christian servants and Christian leaders, think about what you were talking about in your group. So they share many traits, and here are 5 traits that they share. The first shared trait is various personalities, gifts, and talents. No leader or Christian servant is exactly the same. Each one has her own personality, gifts, and talents that makes her work well in the position she is in. That's one of the things that we talked about with Kristen O'Shea, how we're all a little bit different. The next trait is love Jesus. The love of Jesus is at the core of a Christian servant and a Christian leader. Show love and concern. Christian servants and leaders show love and concern for those that they serve or lead. They are dedicated. Both servants and leaders are dedicated to the people they serve and the work that they do. Feel personal satisfaction for service. These people are intrinsically motivated to do the work that they are doing, so they feel a level of personal satisfaction in the service that they do. Sorry, I did that yesterday too. Consider the traits that are listed here. Do you have these traits? You can be a leader. Now we will consider one way to view leadership. Looking at leadership as a function of the group means that we focus on what the leader does. There are 3 basic types. If you look at Leadership 101 after this session, you will find a more detailed description of each type, specifically in a chart that will illustrate various aspects of the function of a group. The first type of leadership is authoritarian. In this type of leadership, the leader holds most of the power. This leader makes all the decisions on her own. Hostility and dependency are possible results of this type of leadership. While this style is not ideal, there are times when it would work well. For example, in emergencies or when a group is not used to making decisions. The second type is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is a practice characterized by an intentional omission of direction or interference. Individual freedom and choice are important in this school of thought. In this type of leadership, there isn't much actual leadership. One possible result of this type of leadership is disorganization. Again, this style is not ideal, but for a group that's highly individualistic and not used to authority, this would work well. And the final type of group function of leadership is democratic. In this type of leadership, we see the leader and the group working together. There is much more balance. This type of leadership often results in high productivity. This type of leadership is best for a group whose leader and members are willing to share responsibility for group relationships and actions. And as we look at these, we all know which one we're supposed to do, which is the democratic, but any of them can work depending on your situation. All right, so now we're going to talk about the traits of good leaders. Take a couple of minutes to brainstorm a list of traits of good leaders in the same group that you were in earlier. So you can write them down or you can just talk about them, but be prepared to share one or two with the group at the end. So 2 minutes. I'm going to go basically kind of row by row or group by group and ask you to share one or two of the traits that you talked about. If somebody said one, it's okay to repeat. Okay, so we'll start here.
Good listener.
Okay, good listener.
And we said that a leader also recognizes the strengths in others and gives them opportunities to demonstrate those strengths.
Okay, so recognizing the strengths in others and utilizing that.
We talked a lot about how like good leaders aren't afraid to like get in the trenches with their people, so they're not just saying, "Hey, you guys go and do this," but they're also,
They're part of it.
They're part of it.
Yeah.
So a pastor that says preaches about serving, but then also you see him at the like church mulching party to mulch the grass.
So they're also serving along with doing the leading. Okay, you guys.
We said organized.
Organized. Yes. All right. You guys were together. Over here.
Communication.
Communication. Able to communicate well. You guys were. To delegate? Yes, delegate. Always be able to delegate. I am not good at that, but delegation is key. You guys.
Flexible and adaptable.
Flexible and adaptable.
Goal-oriented, able to keep the group focused on where the purpose is.
Okay, goal-oriented, being able to keep the group focused.
Energetic.
Energetic. Over here.
You said selfless
Selfless
and steadfast.
and steadfast. Good words. Over here.
They often have the right ideas.
Okay, the right ideas, whatever that might be.
So you're saying the leader is always right.
Not always, but often.
Often. Over here.
A strong faith and be able, and then we say commitment, and having all the fruits of the Spirit really would help.
Okay, fruits of the Spirit, strong faith. What was the middle one?
Commitment.
Commitment, yes. All right, over here.
Willing to show impartiality.
Willing to show impartiality. Okay, any others over here?
Good listener.
Good listener. And our last group over here.
So having ownership.
Okay.
A strong sense of core values.
Okay, ownership and sense of ownership and a strong sense of core values. All right, now I'm going to hand out the handout to you. And you're going to see why I didn't hand it out to you before we did that discussion. Because there's the list that we're going to talk about. And I wanted you to think outside of that box. So I'm going to give you a set of 4. If there are not 4 of you in your row, I will pick up the extras at the end. As I'm passing this out, you can add extra traits. At the bottom, there's some lines for you to add those. And those QR codes are for the resources that I took this information from, so you can find more fully all of the things that we're looking at. Also, this resource will be available for you online, and below the QR code is a link, and that link is a hot link on the actual document when it's electronic. Obviously, it doesn't work on the paper. So, all right, so let's talk about the traits of good leaders. You're going to see some of them that you listed, and you can see them there on your page already. It's not an exhaustive list, but this list you can find on the Look of a Leader. After this session, that resource is a great way to delve more deeply into these traits. The traits in Look of a Leader are vision. It's important for a leader to have vision in order to see the possibilities and take the group into the future. Passion. Passion helps the leader make the vision a reality. The enthusiasm and passion of a leader helps a group thrive because it can be very contagious. Integrity. Integrity breeds respect. Once that respect is won by the leader, the influence of the leader increases. Humility. This is a trait that people are drawn to. Too much pride or egocentrism turns people off. Just remember that humility is not the opposite of confidence. Humility is embodied by a servant heart, a listening ear, and a teaching attitude. A good spiritual life. As a Christian leader, it is important to not only encourage your group members in their spiritual life, but also to be faithful in your spiritual life as well. Courage. It takes courage to be a leader. How many of you would agree with that? Okay. But it also takes courage to deal with conflict and move your group into the unknown or outside their comfort zone. Commitment. A leader needs to commit to the group and the job that she has been given. Responsibility. It is important for the leader of a group to take ownership of certain aspects, including looking towards the future by mentoring or training current and future leaders. Self-discipline. A leader needs to have the ability to self-start and get things done. Problem solving. A leader needs to be able to work with the organization's strengths and weaknesses in order to keep it moving forward. Personal sacrifice. Leadership involves giving of one's time and effort, which does involve some personal sacrifice. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but giving of your time is a personal sacrifice. Each leader will have a different combination of these and other traits, like the ones that you mentioned. Due to those different traits, each leader brings something new to the table. When you encounter different leadership styles and traits, take the time to look at what experience and leadership traits she brings with her. Embrace that and support her. We are now going to do some more small group discussion. All right, you're going to discuss the following questions with your small group once again. Which type of group function leadership do you tend towards? That's the authoritarian, laissez-faire, or democratic. And then, which leadership trait or traits do you think you possess? And how do those traits show up in you as a leader? I will be giving you 5 minutes to discuss these questions with your small group. Please make sure that each person in your group gets a chance to share. So, go. All right. There are 4 influences on leadership. It's important to be aware of these influences as you journey through your term of leadership. This information comes from the Leadership 101 resource, so you can find the additional information that I mentioned. The first influence on leadership is the leader. Makes sense? The leader's personal value and understanding of leadership, feelings of security or insecurity, and confidence in the group's knowledge and ability will make a difference in how she leads. When you step into a leadership role, take the time to self-reflect to know your values, what you bring to the table, what your insecurities are, and your level of confidence, especially in leadership. The next influence is the group itself. The group's size and organizational structure, cohesiveness, communication patterns, personality, value systems, and role concepts are all things to consider. Organization is another influence on leadership. It is important to understand the overarching organization's basic view of Christian community and individual worth. And the final influence is the situation. This is the one that may change the most often through your time of leadership. Take note of the task and conditions under which it is to be accomplished, the social climate, and interpersonal relationships, the degree of success previously achieved, and the influence of the previous leader. Were any of you in leadership roles in the midst when COVID happened? Because that is a significant time when the situation changed and leadership had to change. So far, we've talked about leadership, the types, traits of leaders, and influences on leadership. By knowing the types of leadership that work best, especially for your group and your situation, you will be able to make plans for meetings and other events and decisions more efficiently. Knowing the leadership traits you possess will help you know what to lean into in your leadership, as well as where you might need help from others and what to work on to be a more effective leader. Additionally, by knowing what traits make a good leader, you know what to look for in potential leaders. Finally, being aware of the things that influence leadership will help you take those leadership qualities you have or are working on and apply them to the situation you are in. Now, let's take a look at how to engage and encourage others in leadership. Gaining, Training, Maintaining Women of the LWML is an excellent resource for ways to engage and encourage women in leadership. That's one of them on your paper that you have the QR code for. One important aspect of this is to assist each woman. Before someone is engaged in leadership, she must be part of the organization. It's important to be welcoming and encouraging to all women. Welcome every woman into your group. Invite new women to come to a meeting or event. Offer to pick her up. Even if someone is unable to attend every meeting or event, encourage her when you see her and welcome her with open arms each time she is able to attend. Serve all the women of your congregation. Consider service opportunities that will serve the women in your congregation that are not involved in your group. Offering opportunities. One thing you can do is a survey of the women in your congregation, or use a survey that has already been done. Find ways to use the gifts and talents of your women. Consider offering special events at different days or times so that women that may not normally be able to attend can attend. Use the Mailbox Member Program to incorporate women that want to be more involved but can't due to a variety of situations. Again, invite ladies to come to meetings or events. Pair a newcomer or a new leader with a mentor. It's easier and more fun to learn by doing. Once you have the women in your group, how do you keep them involved and interested in leadership? First, use your time well. Busy work without a purpose is a waste of time and a sure way to lose members. Be sure to spend time in the Word as a group. And speaking from personal experience, if you spend too much time in that business without the service or the Word or the fellowship, it's hard to hold on to some of us. And so trying to be as efficient as possible with that business is beneficial. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of using time well. Also, don't overwork or overwhelm. Sometimes we get so excited when someone is willing to serve in leadership that we overwhelm and expect a lot from that person. Don't immediately throw a new member into leadership or to serve. Allow her to get to know the organization and how it works. If you see that a new member has great potential for leadership, talk with her openly, letting her know that she has some great qualities that would work well in leadership. Encourage her to consider leadership opportunities when they come, but don't force it. Additionally, when a leader expresses a desire or need to step back, respect that and allow her to step back into a leadership role when she's ready. And finally, show appreciation. As Christian leaders, we don't do it for the accolades or the recognition, but a sincere act of appreciation goes a long way. This appreciation could be for a job well done, stepping into a specific role, or simply being involved. 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, "Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing." Leadership is something that can feel lonely and overwhelming, so it's important to connect with other leaders and have a support system that includes friends, family, and others on the board, as well as to encourage the leaders that you have in your life, just as Paul says here. So now I'm going to allow you your last 5 minutes to discuss with the people around you how you can use what I said in this presentation and bring it back to your districts. So, yes?
I just want to, since a lot of it was focused on women, the men can take it back and take it to their men too, because it is really
Yes.
I don't know if I want to use the word, but I mean,
Absolutely. Yes. All right, so discuss with your districts.